Here, what's this one here? Wait, this one here. Ooh. Wow, get out of here. We're gonna load some cedar chunks. Here we go. And welcome back to another episode of Travis Does Firewood. Today, a customer of mine who has received a few, let's say, maybe one or two of my tote of cedar chunks. They want one more before the season gets out for the cold season, and I had to look and search. Do I have enough? Do I have enough for their order? And it turns out I do have enough dry stuff, so let's get loading. Alright, so we are locked and loaded. Probably one of the last bulk sales of the season, or of the fall, winter, cold season, at least for me. In terms of coldness, as well as, oh, I'm going this way, as well as inventory. This is going to be my last load of cedar chunks. I don't have enough that's dry, unless I take off a tarp of another tote and check, because that's a partially covered, my fault, tote. So we will see how it all goes. This is a customer that I had a few weeks ago, where at a certain point to continue on with Google Maps and then find the house by Braille, or just by the actual house address number. Luckily, their house address is on their mailbox at the road, so that shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, it's kind of a cool milestone to admit that this is probably going to be the last delivery of the season. This is a $90 cage with the delivery being at, we don't usually do checks, but I am going to accept it, and I'm going to deposit it with my phone right when I get there. So, and I'll take it with me. So if it should be all in my bank right away. And if there's a problem, I literally know where this lady lives, so I can give her a hard time. But usually do not accept checks unless you trust the person. They're your cousin, your best friend, your wife's co-worker. But like a random customer like this, it's a big no-no. Luckily, yeah. So I hope that all goes well. So now we're on the road. We will offload this. I won't film the offloading, but I'll catch you back in the wood yard in a bit. So as we're driving, I have a question. From what I know, calculations and research, the bigger size ICB tote cage, if you stack it, and then on the one side, other side, and in the middle, stack it and heap it on 16 inches, that's going to be 1/3 of a cord. Now, I am told that if you toss it, and this is going to be 16 inches, not the chunks that I have behind me, if you toss it in there, it's going to be more like 1/4 of a cord. Now, question to you all, do any of you all have experience with that? You want to chime in on your opinion? Do you have like a spreadsheet of calculation, measurements, squares, centimeters, inches, whatever, to more or less have a more decisive confirmation of what a tote like this is in terms of firewood for customers tossed in? Now, I can give like a range. Like when I sell, I use the about sign on my keyboard type thing, and I use my ICB totes as a unit measurement that's outside like 1/3 of a cord or half a cord or a full cord. It is what it is in terms of the measurement, and something that the customer can see in a picture or a video and kind of get a picture in the minds of how much wood, volume-wise, quantity it is. It may not be exactly 1/3 of a cord, it may not be exactly 1/4 of a cord, but here's what it is, either stacked or loosely tossed, and that's what they're getting. I know a lot of people, states, whatever, they are required to sell in an exact measurement. Anything outside of that, anything less, is incorrect. So I feel that I'm doing a good enough job within the perimeters of being honest and straightforward with my customers, but you let me know what you think this cage is worth volume wise. All right, we are back in the wood yard after that delivery. I did the check there on my phone to deposit it, and it worked. So I still have the check. If need be, the bank will contact me and whatever, and I know where they live. But best practice, don't accept checks unless you know and trust the person. But when to go sign the back of the check, the fountain pen that I had exploded on my hand, so I got a bunch of ink on it. So it was a big mess. Anyway, I am back, and I have a unique request from one of my customers. So let me get my phone and I'll tell you about it. So I am messaging. So I got a random ping from my sauna guy, the guy who buys my premium maple, and he messaged me. Even though he just picked up a bunch. So he messaged me, and I'm like, oh no, the wood moist, the wood's wet, like bummer. But what are you gonna say? He's like, Travis, do you have any rounds of firewood? I'm like, of cedar or other wood, and I'm like, I think I do. Like, what's up? He's like, can you sell me some rounds for like stools for my sauna? I'm like, that's a good idea. I can do that. So I asked him some questions in terms of his specs, and he's thinking that 14 inches across and 18 high, and he wants 4 of them. So I told him I had probably some cedar and some spruce / pine, and he wasn't too picky. So we're gonna measure here in a second. Let me turn you around. So this is a massive, I think, spruce. We're gonna measure, and it's gonna be 16 wide here, 16 plus, and I could cut that in anywhere. So let's try this one. This is more our size here, 15, and then we can definitely cut that. 18 long. Yeah, so we'll save this one. This one here looks like the same. We'll get rid of the branches and then leave this clear piece. Same. I think this is more like a twin of that log there. I'm gonna guesstimate it there. It's gonna be about 16. So yeah. These two. That's one. And then this one here. Get rid of these ones. Maybe a little bit bigger. Let's see here. It's 18. It's gonna be 18. This is 12. This is 16. These are already there. And I thought I had some cedar, but maybe I already bucked those up. Oh, here. What's this one here? Wait, this one here. Ooh. Wow. Get out of here. What's this one? This one's 14. Yeah. So, yeah. So it looks like I have enough. I just gotta pick and choose which ones that look the best. I asked him if he wanted bark on or off. He said he wasn't picky, but I told him I'm sure that once they're in the sauna, they would dry out, and then the bark would fall off anyway. So he kind of explained like why, the purpose, and he was looking at them online, looking at cedar benches, cedar like lumber, and they're crazy expensive, which I totally get. And then I know, like I told him that on like Etsy or like Amazon, like a kiln dried round like this is gonna sell for like $45. It's insane what people will pay just for like a decorative piece of wood, not to burn, but just to like look at it for whatever reason. So he reached out to me, and I do have rounds, so we can definitely hook him up. And I told him, worst case scenario, you don't want to sit on rough edges, you don't want to sit on sap. Just put out some scrap 2x4s on top of them and make a bench. He's like, that's a good idea, Travis. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna do that right now, but I wanted just to kind of gauge. So my sauna guy, and you watching this video, I do have it. It's just a matter of bucking it up, and then I don't know what to charge him per round. I'll think of a good number for him, because he's a good customer of mine. So I don't want to to come off as like I'm gouging him. But then again, like these rounds could produce probably, I don't know, a few bundles each or so of wood. So just to take that into account, but then there's less work on my end, just having to buck them up, make sure that they look good, and not having to split and then dry and then bundle them and then sell them. So I am saving some time on selling them. It's just a matter of making sure that it's a win-win on both parts. So I think that's what we are gonna do. So in the previous video, it was one before that, I'll link it up here for you. I showed my Kubota lawnmower tractor, and it had died, and I thought it was the starter or the flywheel or whatever, the engine. And I'm not a mechanic, I'm handy, but I know my limits. I know when I don't know something, and I know that I should not take it on. So I guess that's a good thing to know about yourself, right? So and I like YouTube to get feedback or insight, and because we all learn from each other, like I mentioned before. My dad watched the beginning of that channel, and he's like, Trav, I don't think it's injured. I think it's a new battery. So he let me borrow one of his batteries. I'm over here next to it. It's undercover. He let me borrow one of his new batteries for one of his long tractors, and I hooked it up, and it ran. So I brought my old battery to the local auto parts store, and they found me the one that would work. So I figured I would quickly put that in. I know it's not directly related to firewood, but I use this machine to ferry wood, move wood, etc. And it's definitely a time saver, and this is definitely paid for itself. Worth its weight in gold. So to take care of it enough, I thought I was just gonna scrap it or sell it and whatever, but yeah, I ended up getting a new battery. I don't know the brand. Super Start Lawn and Garden. So this should be the spec that we want, specific to the Kubota model there. So we are just gonna hook it up, and we'll see how it goes. Lives. That's awesome. Battery was like $60 something, so worth it in terms of time and wear and tear in my body. So that's all in. But however, I noticed when I took out the old battery that this bad boy is loose, so I need to make a bracket for that. So let's do that now. But before I do that, I wanted to mention, when I looked at the old battery, it was like from 2018. So these small batteries, I'm told, only have a life of like 3 to 4 years max, and that's way past its prime, its duties, right? So I'm very thankful that has done its job, but I need to make sure that it will hold up for that tractor. All right, I'm back. I didn't do that on camera because a few choice words were said, not by me but by the tractor. So I ended up drilling a hole through the bottom plate right there, bungee cord up and around, and then onto just the plate back in there. So this seems to be fairly sturdy. It wants to be secure going back and forth, not necessarily side to side. It's not perfect, but it should add to the MacGyverness of this machine. I know I see like a bunch of like copper wire holding that hose on, and this wheel case is not missing bolts to it. So definitely has been used and abused, and I have tried to take care of it, but within reason. So let's get this backed up back to where it needs to be, and we'll put away our tools, and we'll move on to the next project. My wife, when she was back here, she was afraid that the lawnmower would roll down the hill, and so she put this cedar block as a chalk, and I forgot to take it out. So let's try it again. So I feel the engine has a little bit more pep, a little more power to it. Maybe it's just me and my imagination, but would a new battery, a fresher battery, give it more power? I mean, I'm not a mechanic, so you tell me if you know, you tell me. So let's get this cup covered up, and I'm trying to figure out what should we do next. So not a very productive day here in the wood yard, where the wood is stored. A delivery, fixing my Kubota, just some other knickknacks. In between my consulting work in my office. But as I was on a call, or before I had a call this afternoon, I was checking out Facebook, because as I mentioned before, I'm on a few Facebook Firewood groups on Facebook. Not that I don't really enjoy being on Facebook, but just in terms of being informed, and then for the channel, etc. But on there, I noticed that Wolf Ridge Splitters made an announcement on several Facebook groups. They are expanding. They now have a dealer in Oregon. So before this, Wolf Ridge had certain dealers in North Carolina, Ohio, Vermont. Really? In Vermont? Wow. Good for Vermont, right? And Missouri. And now they have a new dealer in Oregon. So the name of the town in Oregon is Gold Beach, Oregon. I'll have a map right here. The company is called C&M Equipment. I will try to link the post. I have a screenshot of the post in this announcement too. I'm told by Wolf Ridge, or hopefully maybe Chris, that stuff will be in there at the end of the month, I believe he said. So if you're wondering on the map that you just saw, Gold Beach, Oregon is in the lower end of Oregon. So it's about 5.5 hours from Portland. Now when I say Portland, I mean the Portland, Oregon. And people are going to roll their eyes at Portland, Oregon, but Portland, Oregon. It's 9 hours from me. Gold Beach is 9 hours from where I live, so doable. It's beats going to Wisconsin or Ohio, right? And it's 1 hour from Crescent City in Northern California. So this is a strategic location for Wolf Ridge to sell their splitters up and down the West Coast, including BC, Canada. So I think it's a smart move. I didn't highlight Wolf Ridge on my previous video here on one of the top brands or dealers or splitters I would buy. They've been on my radar. I think they make quality stuff, being an American company. One of a few that would be like the name brand that people are using for commercial splitters. But I feel that they do have a nice product, and I'm so happy to have them here on the West Coast. So Wolf Ridge, based out of Wisconsin, which is fine. And then you have another company, American made. I think one of very few American made processor splitters here in the US would be Brute Force. Now I know Brute Force for their Firewood bundlers, but they do make a quality product for splitters too. They're also based in Wisconsin, but I think they don't have any dealers. I think they're only they're in Dorchester. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm incorrect, but I'm looking online, and that's all I see. And Yappa processors are not American. They're actually Finnish, from Finland, and they're brought over here by Metsa Machines. And so you've seen Bob on a few channels, Wolf Ridge, and Ohio Woodburners channel as well with Joe. But they have several. Metsa Machines does offer Yappa products throughout the U.S. There's 2 locations in Idaho, which I don't understand, in like northern on the border of Washington State, and like lower eastern Idaho. Anyway, I mean, one in Wisconsin, in Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and then in Maine. So if you're looking for any Yapper products, I mean, they're pretty much all over the place, but the furthest one to my area would be in northern Idaho. So the end of this channel kind of went on a wild tangent in terms of dealerships and brands. Yeah, so quick interjection, I forgot Easton Made. They are not an American company. They're from Canada. They're actually in Perth, Ontario, and I'm pretty sure they have no dealers in the US. And looks like they do have dealers in New Zealand and Australia, and possibly in the UK, so do your research. I think if you are looking for a splitter or processor that fits your needs, it's not in your area, I think you're willing maybe to pay the money to drive there and pick it up, or get it shipped over to where you're at and use it. I think I have several searches on Marketplace, on Craigslist, etc. for certain brands, and most of the stuff, which is surprising, and being in Northwest, there's a lot of trees here, but there's not a lot of manufacturing or dealerships or dealers in these products in the Pacific Northwest. So super happy and excited for Wolf Ridge to be this close to me. I'll look into them further, because their dealer is only, what, 9-hour drive from me, so that would be a day, but it would definitely be cool to be having something that would be more powerful on the channel, probably a log lift. I think some of them have processors, and I think Wolf Ridge has something like an axis that is a horizontal splitter and is at your waist type thing, which was super cool. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Keep cutting. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.